Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
All right, guys, welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast. As always, presented by our good friends over at ScentLock. I have a very special guest on the phone today, somebody who I've been looking to get on for a while, and just due to other things, we couldn't make it happen, but it's finally happening. We have James Jean, a.k.a. James Jean's Trick Shots. James, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing great. Just hanging out here in Georgia and, just trying to. I decided I'm not using my bow this morning,
You're
but
not
it's
a
fun.
Bulldogs fan, are you?
Yeah. I'm a Georgia fan. I like anything Georgia. I'm not a huge sports guy,
man.
but I root for the Braves. We done awesome this year in Georgia. Falcons I kind of gave up on. But yeah, I'm just a Georgia fan. Hometown guy.
I always tell people this. I'm from Arkansas, so I'm a Razorback fan. But we really don't have any enemies because we suck. So I don't have to be like, oh, Georgia. I'm like, well, we've never stood a chance against Georgia, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I'm right here in Carrollton. I'm west of Atlanta, kind of near the Alabama line. So we get a lot of Alabama, Georgia fans, and it's a big thing when Georgia and Alabama plays together. And usually Alabama wins, but
yeah, yeah. You beat them once this year, so that was cool. Kind of dethroning the king.
So we beat them when we needed to.
Yeah. There you go. Well, in case somebody has just been living under a rock, and not seen what you do or how you do it, give us a quick insight into what you do and kind of how you got your start at it.
So basically, I do archery trick shots. I've been doing it for about 11 years now, and I've been doing anything from skipping arrows on water, curving arrows around objects, shooting a lot of things out the air, shooting clays, aspirins, wedding rings, you name it. And it's just kind of a way for me to kind of express myself through creativity, and it kind of gets my mind rolling on, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I'll stay up night thinking about what's my next shot or how to do this shot or anything like that. And, started my first YouTube video, archery trick shot video, in 2011, and kind of went into a TV show called Trophy Quest and done trick shots for them and hunted on the show also. And then started the social media stuff back up in 2017. And then a lot of people know me from there. I also do, talent shows. I went on the Go Big show, had Snoop Dogg and Burt Kreischer, and I'll do stuff for Shooting USA also.
Now, don't say you basically do trick shots, because there's nothing basic about what you do. I can't imagine what goes into making a 3-minute video. I can't imagine not only the setup, but the effort and the thought process. I can't imagine what goes into a quote-unquote basic trick shot.
Yeah, it's a lot of set. Lately, it's been a lot of setup. I've been doing stuff at night. Well, not at night, in the dark, and then sometimes at night. And it takes so much lighting and so much camera setup that I'm spending an hour and a half just before I even shoot, just setting it up. But the past 4 years, I've really gotten in tune, and doing the little talent shows helped me out a lot with consistency, where now I can go in and I do more preparation than I do actually shooting to get these shots. And you kind of got to understand what your body could do, how good you can shoot, and kind of work with the trick shot to make things happen. Where a lot of this stuff, I have a 20 shot rule. If I don't get it within 20 shots, it's time to move on. And it's great, figuring this stuff out. And I love the process. I love trying new things and seeing what works, and just playing around with arrows or how I'm drawing or any type of aiming technique or anything like that.
Now, I've I've got a lot of questions. Before we jump in, let me give a quick thank you to our friends over at Season Report. And if you've checked out Season Report in the past, I've talked about them a lot, but if you've checked them out in the past, they have just released a whole new beast of a website. They have uploaded more, and they've done more, and it's bigger and it's better now. They've uploaded some gardening and some foraging features. But for us hunters, what we love about it is I view it as my hunting wallet of sorts, or my hunting safety net maybe. But basically what you can do is you can go in and you can save your counties that you hunt in, all states. You can save your counties that you hunt in, and you can go in, and it gives you all the state rules, regulations, laws, bag limits, everything right there on one easy-to-use, easy-to-understand platform. You don't have to flip through different clunky state agency websites. It's all right there for you. You can view it in calendar view, so you can view overlapping season dates, and you know, whether you're in duck season or bow season or rifle muzzleloader, you can see when all of those overlap. It is a very handy tool, and for just $10 a year, I can't think of a better thing to spend $10 a year on if you're a hunter. So go to seasonreport.com, use code hunting101, and that's going to make that entire platform just $10 for the entire year for you. I use it religiously, whether I'm going to a new state to hunt or whether I'm just a new season rolls around and it's time to hunt. Open it up, check your dates, check your bag limits, check your orange laws, check all of those types of things. That way I know for a fact that I'm following and abiding by all of the laws and regulations. I had a friend one time, and I'm not going to name any names, but he had hunted in the same county for, his entire life for turkeys. And he calls me, he's like, dude, I just doubled up. And I'm like, that's awesome, man. Congrats. And he sent me pictures and everything. And he calls me back minutes later, and he's like, dude, I don't know how this happened. This has been a 2-turkey county my entire life. And turns out this is the first year it's ever been 1 turkey. And so he called his game warden, and the game warden explained, it's all right. It's first time in however many years. It happens. Thank you for calling, whatever. But it's just one of those things where we fall into a rut of just thinking that all the laws stay the same and that nothing changes, and especially if you've hunted in a county your entire life. And this just gives you the ability to flip it open real quick, view everything you need to right there, and make sure you're abiding by the laws. Go check it out, guys, seasonreport.com. So, James, I'm curious to know, the first question I have, and the reason this is the first question, probably not something we should immediately jump to, but you mentioned curving arrows.
Yeah.
Is that more of a setup on the arrow that changes, or is there an actual way that you curve arrow? I mean, does your shot process change, or does the arrow setup change, or both? Or I was curious to know, like, sometimes I see you have like it looks like fletchings midway up your arrow.
Yeah, middle fletch arrows. We'll take a deep dive into it. So curving arrows, you can do it a lot of different ways. And I don't know the exact way to do it, but I have a really good understanding on like a basic setup. So you could do several different things to make an arrow curve. But basically, to curve an arrow, you need that arrow to go sideways. And for the curve to happen, that arrow wants to correct itself, and it will cause it to straighten back up. Now, it's different with every bow. I don't have a set formula, but I do have a video on YouTube how to do it. But you can add weight or take weight from the front. You could add, fletchings to the you can use regular arrows for it, or you can use bear shafts, or you can use middle fletch arrows. Why I use the middle fletch arrows sometimes is they'll curve in a shorter distance. So have, like on video, it looks more dramatic, and you can curve it from like a shorter distance, and you can use it for different, I use different curving arrows for different shots, but essentially I like to do with normal arrows because they're more consistent. And say if I was doing a live show or, doing a television show, I would use normal arrows. The middle fletch arrows, it doesn't put as tight as a group. Sometimes, but the wind can really affect it. If you have kind of a crossing wind, it'll cause it to curve less, or a headwind. I think a headwind will make it curve more. I prefer not to do it with wind because wind always makes things less consistent, and it really affects it as far as how much it curves and how less it curves. So you can really, it could be a super easy shot or it could be a super hard shot just in case of the wind. You could move your nock up and down the arrow basically do the exact opposite as you do tuning an arrow. You can knock up, you can knock down if you want, and then it seems to do better with a shorter brace height. And then sometimes with a lighter bow will seem to curve more sometimes. But if you want it to be, curve a little bit flatter, you could use a heavier bow, but it might curve less. And oh man, there's a lot of the way you cant it can cause directions curve. You cant it to the right, flat, it'll curve more. Or you can cant it kind of sideways, it curve kind of up and down. You can flip it over and curve it to the left. It's all kinds of different ways. And I kind of figured out how to, do the S curve where you can curve around 2 barrels each direction. Or I can curve 2 arrows around both sides of the barrels and hit 2 targets behind it, or curve 2 arrows around one side. Or it's just fun to play around with. But it could be a really fun shot.
It really is essentially tuning a bow, but tuning it poorly. I mean, you're tuning it to tune poor. Yeah,
and there's all different ways to play around with it. I haven't found the set, there's not a set way for each bow. One thing that might work for another bow might not. Yeah, it might work for one bow, but it won't work for another. And I like to have a big sight picture too, so it can kind of arrow come kind of sideways without hitting the riser that hard.
I gotcha. Now, at what point? I'm curious to know where this kind of birthed from. At what point were you did you see an aspirin falling and you're like, oh, I can shoot that out of the sky?
It just it really, it's kind of hard to see because everybody just watches the videos now. But, I've done this 11 years ago and it was such a hard, it was a hard transition, but I love them I always challenging myself. It really stemmed from skateboarding, I believe, for my creativity because, skateboarders, they can find an obstacle and do several different stuff on there. But it's just kind of, growing up on the farm, loving archery, it kind of stemmed from, I loved hunting and I shot a compound a lot and I'd shoot every day. And it got to the point where I was kind of getting burnt out. And then some reason I made a zip line and started shooting that, got better at that, and then started moving with different targets, aerial targets. I had a clay thrower because I shot sport clays for a little while. Started hitting clays with a bow, with a recurve, got into using a, recurve long bow, using anything. I really enjoy kind of, if I picked up something, say my kid had a Nerf gun, as soon as he stops using it, I'm going to grab it and try to shoot a water bottle from, far away or try to throw it up in the air. I always like doing that kind of stuff. If I have a BB gun out, I'm going to try to see what I can push. And I don't know, I just always enjoyed that. It's it's pretty much just setting a goal and then achieving it. And it kind of gives you a inner satisfaction whenever you make that goal happen.
Now, what's his name? Is it Byron?
Mm-hmm.
Was he a big inspiration to you?
Oh yeah, he was a huge inspiration. I was pretty obsessed with hunting, and I'd watch the outdoor show, and I grew up watching Byron Ferguson on Shooting USA all the time, and I loved it. And he kind of gave me, he's like, oh man, this could be possible with a bow, and that's when I started trying it. And then the cool thing now, I grew up watching him on there, and then now I'm doing a lot of stuff on that same show, so it's kind of cool.
That's cool.
And I grew up watching him.
Have you ever got to shoot with him?
No, I hope to meet him one day. He lives in Alabama, not too far, but I hope to meet him. There's a few guys I'd like to meet. There's Jerry Hill. He's Howard Hill's nephew, and he kind of keeps the tradition of Howard Hill alive. And I'd love to talk to him too. I'd love to go see him. He lives in Alabama also, and then see Byron also. And yeah, there's huge inspirations. Growing up watching him, he gets kind of a bad. He's kind of I don't know. He's kind of got a bad reputation now. But Chris Brackett, grew up watching him too, and Tim Wells. It was a big inspiration watching them shoot, seeing what's possible with a bow.
Speaking of Tim Wells, when are you going to go to the? When are you going to do some blowgun stuff?
I shot clays with the blowgun before. I got that blowgun. It's just it's a lot of it takes a lot of lungs for that.
Yeah. Have you seen the pocket shot?
Yeah, I looked into that. I haven't used it though.
Dude, they're fun.
Really?
They're fun. I don't have. They have a whisker biscuit attachment
Mm-hmm.
where you can shoot full length arrows out of them. I don't have that. I just shoot the BBs, like glass balls, metal balls. But it is absolutely a blast. Me and my son have so much fun. I've unloaded on squirrels before. There's glass balls all over my yard because if I see a squirrel, I run in and get the pocket shot.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I love shooting. I shot. I know I shoot all kinds of stuff, mostly bow, but like I have, I shot clay with just about anything. Blowguns, the little pistol crossbows. I think Bear carries one as well.
Yeah.
The like BB guns, compounds, threw rocks at it. The atlatls. Trying to think, BB guns, slingshots.
Have you seen the guy on YouTube? I mean, he's on social media as well, but he does like David and Goliath type slingshots.
Like the sling?
Like the old school, swinging around your head and let it rip.
I don't know who exactly. I'm friends with a few of them. I actually got to do a podcast tomorrow with a bunch of them. They sent me one, and that's really fun
cool.
too. And I still haven't got the hang of it yet, but I'm throwing tennis balls a little bit in the yard with it. It's really fun.
Now, for somebody who, and hearing you talk in the past, that transition to kind of trick shots came because of just being burned out on shooting targets and just going out and shooting steel targets. Which that's where my transition from a compound to a recurve came in, because I'm like, a compound is so much fun to shoot, and I love shooting long distances with a compound, but there comes a point where it's just like, well, the target's at 50, I hit it, that was fun, and so I really wanted to switch into that challenge of shooting a recurve, and I heard somebody say it like this: there comes a point in shooting a rifle, and then there comes a point in shooting a compound, then there comes a point in shooting a recurve, where it's just you no longer have that euphoric high of like, holy crap, I hit the target. There's just I hit the target again, you know. And I certainly haven't reached that point with a recurve yet.
Oh yeah.
But there's never that euphoric high. It's always you're either satisfied with your shooting or you're mad at your shooting. And then when you make the switch, you get that feeling back. My question for you is this: if somebody is begin to burn out on whatever, maybe it is a rifle, maybe it is a crossbow, maybe it is a compound, and they've just simply lost that love for shooting, what's your best advice in kind of gaining back that pure, authentic love for shooting, whatever it is that they're shooting?
You got to figure out a way to make it fun again. If it's not fun, you shouldn't do it. And if it turns into a job, something like that, and you got to figure out a way to challenge yourself and make it fun again, whether that's, if that's 3D or doing competition, which I was very burnt out on competition before I even got into archery, because I used to skateboard and I'd go to competitions every weekend, and I was kind of burnt out on contests and all that stuff. And, it wasn't, for me, I went to a 3D course with my compound, and it wasn't fun. I felt more like it was more me. I felt like it's cutthroat, like I gotta do great, gotta be serious. It wasn't like, hey, let's hang out, shoot the crap, and, but the trick shots, what you was talking about, that feeling, that high, that's why I do the trick shots. It's just something satisfying to me, hitting something out of the air and watch it bust, or seeing an arrow stick into a target, and that's why I keep creating new shots to keep it fresh, because if I do something repetitive long enough, I'm just going to get burnt out, and that's why I like creating new stuff. So you just got to figure out a new way to keep it fun. So if you do the same things over and over, the same results are going to happen. So you got to do a little change here and there to figure out what's fun. And what I love about trick shots, it just keeps me doing archery year long. Used to be, right before hunting season, that's when I start grabbing the bow and starting to shoot. Now, I never lose that feeling. I feel like I'm an overall better archer just because I'm shooting the bow year long, and it keeps things fresh and something to look forward to. And then if you have friends or buddies, and they can get in there and get it, like shoot with you too.
Now, that is a big question that I've always had for you, and I did get to ask it to you in the past. Watching you do what you do, and watching you, watching you Robin Hood an arrow through a spinning wedding ring, it's like, holy crap. Shooting a deer at 20 yards must be just easy. Have you seen that big crossover between making these shots possible and hunting situations?
Every time I go into a new shot, it's something different, something I got to change. And, the best thing for hunting is to shoot still targets. As far as the big game hunting. Now, the clays works really good for quail and bird hunting. And I love shooting quail with a bow. That really translates. But, as far as the hand-thrown targets, so the target's going up and down, or shooting the water drops, there's not a lot of animals that replicate that same motion going up and down like that.
Right.
So everything's a little bit, you got to shoot kind of, if you use hunting, you got to shoot whatever, you got to shoot just like you was hunting the animal. So if you're hunting, best to shoot still targets if you can. Maybe a little bit of moving targets, but you don't want to shoot a deer running. Really, you don't want to do any risky shots. You owe it to the animal to try to put, the most ethical shot you can. But yeah, it's, some stuff, it's weird. I suffer, just because like shooting moving targets is a whole different thing than shooting still targets. And you kind of get, it's more instinctive, where I find it challenging to shoot still targets sometimes if I don't practice it. It might be months before I shoot a still target again. And, right before hunt season, I'll go back and, I'll get back into the still target, mood.
Right. No, I'm a big proponent of practicing like you hunt, and
Yeah.
I always tell people, and I understand, people can't have life the way I have my backyard set up, but I've got 9 3D targets in my backyard, from antelope, deer, bears, hogs, whatever, in my backyard, and I don't know the last time I pulled out a target with spots on it and shot it, because I don't care if I can hit a ping pong ball. What I care about is, can I aim at this animal and kill it? And my wife, she got a bit of a taste of that, because I got her a compound, and she was shooting, and she could she could split arrows at 20 yards, shooting at a spot. And then I said, all right, well, let's go and shoot 3Ds in the backyard. And it just was lost upon her, like, there's no spot to aim at. There's brown, shoot. And I'm like, sweetheart, you have to force yourself to pick a spot on that target and hit that target where you want to. And so I don't ever pull out a bag target or a block target with a big spot on it and shoot at it. Because as a hunter, my primary goal is to aim at this animal and hit this animal where it's going to kill it. And so I only shoot 3D targets due to that fact, is I want to force myself to pick a spot on the animal and put an arrow where it's going to kill that animal. And so I was just curious to know, like, that's all I was curious about, was like, if you can do all these crazy type things, it must come easy to shoot a still target, but the correlation really isn't there. And that just goes to prove, like, you've got to practice what you want to be good at. Like, you have to do what you want to be good at. Which is why these hunters look and they're like, there's no way I could ever do that. Well, you've never practiced that. You've never practiced shooting an aspirin out of the sky. You've never tried it. It's a complete different ball game. And so I'm just a huge proponent of shooting 3Ds in the backyard.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. It's like that's the way I am. I could pick a spot and hit it. Like on a 3D target, I'm not great at it, but like usually, if I go to like a techno hunt or something, just about all of them are in the kill zone. But if you put me a indoor target kind of style shooting, I won't be able to hit the bullseye. But I can pick a spot, and that's how, most of these trick shots, that's what I'm doing. I pick a spot. A lot of times with these moving things, I'm not actually aiming at the object. I'm picking a spot right in front of it, or where it's going to be, not where it's at.
Right.
And that's a big thing. And a lot of people, they see me do the trick shots. It's like, why you're not in the Olympics? was like, that's like asking a drift car racer to do NASCAR. It's, they both use cars,
Yeah.
but it's two different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on, let me give a quick thank you to our friends over at Universal Outdoor Products. UniversalOutdoorProducts.com. They have some super, I absolutely, you guys know I love Wise Eye trail cameras, and I love Baku e-bikes. Universal Outdoor Products carries both. They also carry 6 a.m. gear, which is like backcountry backpack styling gear. They carry really high-end gear in those categories. And what I love about Thomas over at Universal is he only carries the products that he really truly believes in. He doesn't want to be, a big box store that has thousands of products. He carries the products he really truly loves and uses and knows well. And I was one of those guys who met Thomas, started riding a Baku bike with Thomas, and I was like, this is really fun, but I would never use it in a hunting situation. I live in Kansas, man. I walk 600 yards to my stand. But then I really started implementing it, and you can get to stands quieter, faster. You don't get sweaty. You can get in better access to different stands because you don't have to walk through bedding areas. So I'm a big proponent of e-bikes, and Universal Outdoor Products happens to carry the best of them, and that's Baku. So go check out universaloutdoorproducts.com. What's the hardest shot you've ever made? Like the one that really got you?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out stuff.
I'm going to say it's the trampoline backflip because I saw you eat it a couple times.
Oh yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
Man, I'll tell you what. I watched that video, and then I was outside shooting, and in my backyard, there's also a trampoline for the kids. And I was shooting my bow, and it was one of those moments that I had where I like looked down at my bow, looked at the trampoline, looked down at my bow, looked at the trampoline, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way.
It's really weird shooting at it, especially with the backflip. The backflip, it's like, all right, you'll see that I could I'll lock in on the target, and all of a sudden it just flips where you're thinking you're shooting at the target and you'll shoot way to the right. So it's a really, like, I first practiced with a balloon a few months back, and it's really weird, like, as I was picking a spot on that balloon, and the balloon was only, maybe 15, 20 yards at the most. And the spot I picked was like 6 foot below it to the left in order to hit that balloon. Like, it's such a weird, like, you think you're looking at the balloon, as you're flipping, you're shooting way high. It's really weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, but everything, I know, the way it's, when I first started, everything was hard, and I used to just chunk arrows at stuff forever. And, things just got easier. Like, it took me, the first time I hit an aspirin, it might have took, 30 minutes to hit the thing. And then, to the point, I haven't shot aspirins a lot lately, but, it got to the point where I hit 6 aspirins in a row. I might not bust every aspirin because you got the little bit of arrow wiggle there, but I'll hit it where, bounce off the arrow. So it takes, everything comes hard at first. And then, you keep at it and it'll get easier.
30 minutes. I'm confident that if I went out and tried to shoot a dropping aspirin right now, that it would take me days.
It's a lot easier than people think. And you just got to figure out, the best thing to do is kind of realize, the biggest thing is work with the trick shot. Not just don't throw Hail Marys at it. Figure it out. Look, take breaks in between shots. Look at what you're doing wrong and adjust to it. Like, say, some people would just sit there and just hammer at it, and they're, consistently shooting to the right. And you can see it shooting to the right, but they won't fix it. It's like, all right, pick a spot to the left of it. Now you hit it. And that's what I really like doing it now. Now it's like, it's so much easier for me to just overcome and adapt it. Because every shot, essentially a new shot, if you're trying a new shot, it should take 2 tries. But I mean, that sounds easier said than done. But, you need to just see what you're doing wrong, fix it, then you can hit it. It's a cool process. Just like, I think the other day I did a no-looking wedding ring shot. Let's see, I tried 4 tries. Well, no, I've tried 4 tries, and I'd just go back and look at the footage each try because I couldn't see the ring. And then I adjusted it. And I was like, all right, I'm shooting just a little bit under it. Went back, and then after like 2 more tries, it was a total of 8 tries. But in the middle of them tries, I made an adjustment, and that's what got the ring. But just little adjustments like that, that's I need to work on.
And that's just exactly where, going back to our initial statement of, like, you've got to rethink the way you're doing things. You have to rethink everything. I'm the kind of shooter where I've driven. I have what's the word I'm looking for? I have hammered in my brain a shot execution. And it's a slow shot execution. I think about my grip. I think about my hook. I think about coming to anchor. I think about picking a spot. I think about back tension. I think about and you kind of have to throw all that out the window and restart. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying by any means that you become a bad shot or you become a sloppy shot, but you just have to change the way you do things. From your arrow setup to your bow setup to everything. Do you shoot a really lightweight bow?
Past 6 months I've been doing about 57 pounds. But
Really?
my ideal weight is about 45. But I noticed with the 57 pound one, I have a little bit cleaner release where I could shoot good, but I can't shoot for a long time. But lately the past, I'll go and shoot in the mornings right before work. So I don't have a lot of time to shoot. So I might shoot, 20 times at the most. So I can handle the 57 pounds. But if I was shooting all day for like a TV show or something, like Shooting USA for trying to film 6 episodes in a day, I'll switch to a lighter poundage bow to like 40, 45. And then I shot 30-pound limbs or whatever.
I always thought, like, looking at these shots, I'm like, man, that you have to be using a lightweight bow. I mean, to get it back that quick and to do the things you're doing with it and to maneuver it the way you're maneuvering it and all these things, I'm like, you got to be shooting a really lightweight bow for that. But I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, it's well, the thing is, like, most of the time I'm just snap shooting. I'm shooting really quick. I got a really quick shot. So, holding back the bow that long, I mean, it's one thing pulling back a 57-pound bow and just letting go. It's another thing to pull it back and hold it and then let go, It causes less fatigue, if you just do the snap shooting.
Right.
But,
what is your the best moment you've ever had in trick shooting? Like, the most euphoric high you've ever had there?
Let's see.
If you don't say shooting in front of Snoop Diggy Dogg, I don't even know what we're doing here no more.
That's a big one. Yeah, it's definitely, that was pretty much the highlight. It's because, I don't shoot in front of a lot of people. I always shot by myself. There's no really, I don't know any traditional archers around me. I never grew up with anything, and that's why I do what I do today. Is like, if I had a teacher, he'd probably teach me the right way to do it, and so I had to figure everything out. I still shoot 2 fingers, but the talent show, it was during the pandemic. We had to stay there in a bubble for a month, and I like to over prepare if I'm doing something live or in front of people. So I shot, pretty much until my fingers were purple, in the middle. But I was so nervous, and I had so much anxiety. Like, I wouldn't sleep at night. Like, I'd get sick and puke in the morning. Like, I don't know, I got in my head so bad every day. Like, I was hardly sleeping, hardly eating. And, my first round did all right. And then, I curved, let's see, I shot an aerial target. I shot 2 aerial targets. Did one where Cody Rhodes, he's a wrestler, son of Dusty Rhodes. He threw up a target, I hit it. Then I threw up a target, did a 360, hit it. Then I curved an arrow right side of the wall, then left side of the wall, and then did one behind the head to do that round. The second round, I was shooting a beer can that shot out of a cannon, and a double ramp shot, and then a 5 balloon shot. Well, the 5 balloon shot, I did it one time, and I wasn't really consistent at it like 3 years before, but they really wanted me to do it. So I spent like a week or 2 trying to figure out how to get it the most consistent that I could. And I was holding the arrows between my fingers, squeezing it. I had to squeeze it just right to get the arrows to spread just right and shoot it. And it was a tough shot, and it took me forever. Like, it took me a while to figure it out. And I went, and I was the way this talent show went is the first round you went against another guy. Like, is a head-to-head battle. So I went against a yo-yo guy. Name's Justin, really nice. Got him, but I was going against 2 other guys. One guy had the highest score of the first round with like a 96, and the other guy had another score with a 93, and I had an 88. And they both did great, but they had little flaws. They messed up here and there. And I knew in order for me to win it, I have to nail every shot. And right before I got on stage, they went before me, so I knew I had to do great. So that was more pressure, and I'm sitting there right before the show, hyperventilating, like and my producer's trying to calm me down. I'm like sitting there about to freak out, and I got up there, shot the beer can out of the cannon, exploded, done the double ramp shot, and then I'm gonna go back. The day you had to keep all your equipment there, which I really did not like. They had to lock up the equipment and do something, and something happened where I went up that day of in practice, and my arrows did not shoot how I wanted them to. Like, because I'd sit there and I twist the nocks just right where the fletching would hit the other arrow, where it spread out just enough, and somebody messed with it or something, because it would go crazy.
I bet it was Snoop.
Yeah, it might have been, but it was almost like something messed me up, and I had to kind of relearn and refix everything right before that morning of, and then they took all my stuff away where I can't practice till that night, and I didn't do that round till about 11 o'clock that night. So the last shot was a 5 balloon shot, and I was super nervous, and I stopped in the middle of the round. I was like, I just made sure all the balloons is kind of how I liked it and all that stuff, and then I got back and I was like, all right, this is it. And then I pulled back, let go, and I shot. And most times, if you watch me on social media, that I'm pretty calm after I shoot,
Yeah,
but
that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. And then, but that time, that's the only time you see me just go nuts after the shot. Like, that was just so much weight lifted off of me. And then, Snoop Dogg.
What did Snoop Dogg say? I gotta know.
Oh, he loved it. He's like, because right before the shot, you kind of tell him what you do, and he's like, I loved it. You told me exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna do it. He was as far as like the big celebrities, he's my favorite one. Like, every time he'd walk by me, he'd stop and talk to me. He remembered my name. He stopped and played cornhole with me. He autographed some stuff for me, and he just threw it around. We was just playing around. Nah, I didn't play against him. Like, I was playing against another guy. He's a monster truck driver. We was playing cornhole out there, and he came and threw the bag, and he got a hole the first throw and just walked away. But yeah, he's really cool. I really like him. That is
cool, man.
And then Cody Rhodes is really nice too. Bert is his wife's from the same town I'm in, and he said he wanted to come learn how to curve arrows. He shot archery. Like, after that round, he went and picked up my bow and shot a bullseye first try. I was like, you better stop there. So yeah, Bert was into archery too. I was like, don't do that again.
Have you ever met somebody or ran into somebody and you are their first impression to archery, and then you kind of have to explain to them, like, this isn't normal archery. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't the standard. This isn't what archery normally looks like. I'm the exception.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about, with the trick shots, it seems to get more viewership than, regular archery, like target archery or whatever. And I bring in a lot of people that's never done archery before, and they want to get into archery. It's like, hey, I want to get into archery. I want to get into archery. I want to do trick shots like you. I was like, whoa, you got to learn how to crawl before you can walk. So I got to kind of explain.
You're not walking, my friend. You are sprinting.
I just like to, I'm constantly. This is all I obsess about this. This is all I think about. So I'm constantly thinking up the new stuff. So that's a great thing. I love it. So that's why I'm keep on challenging myself and doing better and better things.
Do you do trick shots full time now? I mean, is that kind of your full time gig?
I wish. I work on a farm, and I still do freelance video and editing for hunting shows, and I'd love it one day to be, that I do trick shots full time.
That's cool, man.
That's the goal.
Yeah, no, that's a good goal, man. And I think if anybody can do it, it's certainly you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff, and I've been trying to point people in the right direction, but a lot of people think they just need to get the same bow I get and they can do trick shots.
Right.
And I kind of explained to him, it's like, my bow might not work for you. I shoot a little bit different than you. I might not. I'm a little bit taller. I got a longer draw length, or I could shoot a little bit heavier pounds because I've been shooting recurves for this long. You should start out with a lighter bow and then work your way up, and then you get that, and then you get a lot of compound shooters that want to get. I shoot a 70-pound compound. Why don't I can get a 70-pound recurve. You get a lot of that too. But yeah, that's a great thing. That's the goal. That's what I love seeing is people getting into archery. That's the main goal, and that's why I've been slacking on it lately. But I'm trying to put out more YouTube content to how to do these things, and keep get people into archery, get people into doing trick shots, because it's something you can do all year round, and you don't need a lot of space to do it. Even if you get tired of shooting at 5 feet, you could put something 5 feet away and make it really hard. And,
right.
Hopefully I can get more people into, you don't have to shoot wedding rings out there. Just maybe a swinging tennis ball or something, or just anything you could do in your room if you wanted to, get more people involved. And then hopefully, if more people got into it, it'd probably grow the industry, a little bit more. So people will be buying more bows, tons of more arrows. Stuff like that.
I bet. I can't imagine the amount of arrows you go through.
Yeah, it's I use a lot of flu-flus, I use a lot of arrows, and luckily I'm blessed to be on a farm where it's really manicured, so I can go pick up all my arrows. But the only ones I lose now is the ones I break, and
yeah,
but I do go through a lot. I'll buy 6 or 8 dozen a year. But now I'm pretty, I haven't bought arrows in a while, but it just depends on what shot I'm doing.
Right. What is the when's the Dude Perfect collaboration come out? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I haven't reached out to him, but I forgot who was. Whistle Sports contacted me a while back, and they wanted to use my video for a Dude Perfect show for something they was doing, and I never heard anything about that lately. That's
Man,
all
that
I
would
heard
be
about
cool.
Dude Perfect. Yeah, but yeah, I'd love to meet them. But there's a few people I want to meet that I've been trying to do stuff with. The Gould brothers, they do shotgun stuff. I've been wanting to do stuff with them. 22 Plankster. Yeah, supposed to do a video with Lars Anderson, stuff like that. But we just haven't got our schedule synced up.
Now, what is James? I ask all of my guests. Fred Bear was big on field notes. What's one field note you've taken over the years throughout your hunting or filming TV shows or whatever it is that I can take and make myself a better hunter with?
The biggest, let's see. That's a tough question. Make yourself a better hunter. I don't know.
Or a better shot. I mean, it could be
a better shot.
A better shot.
I say whenever you get the chance, film yourself. And a lot of people don't do that. And if you can film yourself, you can, especially if you got, a lot of these cell phones got slow-mo cameras, you can film and you can see what your arrow's actually doing. A lot of times you can't see with the naked eye what your arrow is actually doing. And a lot of times you can see that, my arrow's out of tune. Or I'm jerking when I'm jerking this way or jerking that way. And, it's a lot of, you can see your shot execution. You can see what your arrow is doing, for the target. A lot of times with still targets, it's one thing, but like if you're shooting a moving target, your eyes will fool you a lot of times on what your arrow is doing. You might think you're really close to it when you're actually really behind it, stuff like that, like water drops. If you're hitting a water drop and sometimes you'll see a splash, you'll go back and look at the footage. It's like, oh, I just hit it with the feathers, I didn't hit it with a tip or something like that.
That's a great tip, man. I actually just recently put out a video on my social media filming from above me. And the reason for that is I wanted to check my alignment and check that I was rolling my back shoulder over and getting everything into alignment. And I'm a huge proponent of filming yourself shooting, whether it is behind you, slow-mo to see your arrow, or above you or behind you to see if you're really executing back tension well. Or I'm a huge proponent of it. So I absolutely love that answer. And it's one I've never got before. Everybody's like hunt slow or slow down or control your scent, or that's one I've never got before. And it pertains to anything, whether you're shooting a compound at long range, whether you're shooting a rifle, a crossbow, a recurve, a longbow, whatever. It really does give you that way to refine your shot process and to make sure that you're executing your shot well, and to become a better archer. So I absolutely love that answer.
Yeah, it's even if you can do it, I know it's a pain in the butt, but even if you can film yourself hunting, it helps you out a lot. Like the same thing with TV shows.
Yeah.
Like you could say you think you put a good shot on it. Oh, I was a little bit far back. If you look back on the camera, it's like, all right, we need to just hang back a little bit before we go right in there. Or you can look at it, it's like, oh, he smoked him, let's go. That saved you a lot of times also, looking back on the footage on the kill shot or whatever, if you can film yourself hunting.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Before we go, one more quick thank you to our friends over at NZ Campers. NZ Campers builds incredible campers. He's a hunter. He builds them for hunters with some incredible hunting features built in: boot dryers, meat storage, scent-free cabinets. Incredible campers. If you are looking to get a new camper, or if you're looking to be able to go more places and stay longer, NZ Campers is the absolute way to go. That's ENZY Campers. Go check him out. He's a good friend of mine, and he builds some incredible campers. James, where can they find you at, man?
Anywhere on social media at James Jean Trick Shots. All one word, all lowercase.
James Jean Trick Shots. Go check him out. Even if, it's just so fun to watch. It's so cool to see. It gives you some new ideas. It makes you jealous for sure. But no, it really is. It's a joy to watch you shoot, man.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah, that's the goal. Is hopefully
Guys, go
getting
check
people
him out.
entertained and get more people in archery.
Oh, it's definitely entertaining. That's for sure. And that's what I absolutely love them. A lot of people do, obviously. So go check out James Jean's Trick Shots. James, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, thank you for listening. If you found yourself bored in shooting, try something new. Maybe it's a new weapon. Maybe it's a new style of shooting. Maybe it's trick shots. But make sure and just keep that love for archery. Keep that love for the outdoors, and challenge yourself. Find new challenges, and keep going forward, and keep finding those highs in archery and in hunting. But guys, thank you for listening. You guys have a great week.